Education is Steve Jester. Steve is pastor and head of staff, Second Presbyterian Church in Paul.
I'm honored and excited to introduce our speaker today, Alli Truttmann, one of the most energetic women you'll ever meet. Last year, I heard her speak at one Southern Indiana's Pearls of Wisdom event, and I was extremely impressed and inspired by her entrepreneurial story and success at such a young age. Alli attended Bellarmine University and was a 4-year starter on the women's soccer team. She also graduated with a psychology degree and obtained a personal training certification. She moved on to complete a master's from U of L, the Kaufman Fast Track Program for Local Entrepreneurs, and the GLI LEAD Program. Alli is the founder and CEO of Wicked Sheets, and you will hear how she started this amazing company, and you'll all have to try her sheets because they are amazing. I have a pair. I need 2 or 3. In 2012, Alli won the Louisville Venture Connectors Venture Sharks Pitch Competition for Wicked Sheets and used the money to fund a trip to the annual North American Menopause Convention, where she gained the support of 60 medical professionals specializing in women's health issues. In 2014, Alli was honored as one of Business First's 40 Under 40. Alli is also very involved in the community, and she currently serves the Bellarmine University Board of Overseers, the Louisville Venture Connectors Board of Directors, and the Advisory Board for Girl Scouts of Kentuckiana. And in her spare time, as if she has any, she is a psychology professor at Bellarmine University. With this, I'll leave you with Alli Truttmann.
Thank you so much, Rotarians. I am a walker. Since I teach at Bellarmine, I'm used to walking and going between PowerPoints, so I'm going to do the same approach and go between pillars so I don't leave this side of the room neglected. As Ingrid said, my name's Alli Truttmann. I'm the founder and CEO of Wicked Sheets, so you guys might want to know what that is before I start talking to you about my entrepreneurial journey, right? So Wicked Sheets are moisture wicking and cooling bed sheets. They're like Under Armour for your bed. If you can think about a Nike Dry Fit golf shirt or an Under Armour running top or even athletic pants you might use for yoga. We basically took the same technology and applied it to the bedroom. So what we did in our development of Wicked Sheets was we wanted to outperform what was existing on the market. So that was a traditional cotton bed sheet. Everybody right now probably sleeps on cotton. Until after I've spoken to you, then you'll all be sleeping on Wicked Sheets. But what we needed to do was make sure that we were engineering something so much better than cotton to help folks like myself who have night sweats or hot flashes not wake up to wet bed sheets anymore. So what we did was we took the same technology as those Nike or Under Armour technical fabrics, and we applied it to the bedroom, and then we met with our engineers and made it 6 times more moisture wicking, 4 times more breathable, 3 times faster drying, hypoallergenic, and now we actually have a line that's 2 to 3 degrees cooler to the touch all night long. So anyone who has night sweats or hot flashes like myself will want to be sleeping in Wicked Sheets because they won't wake up wet or to a wet spot, sorry. It's probably not an appropriate lunch conversation talking about bodily fluids, but get used to it. So this journey started for me after I graduated to be a child psychologist. I went to school to work with kids with autism, Asperger's, and ADHD, and I was a therapist, a child psychologist, a therapist for 9 years before I decided to go all in on Wicked Sheets. So it was a very non-traditional journey, if you will. When you go to school for 8 years to be a child psychologist and you tell your parents, I want to go start a sweaty bed sheets line, that really was a shocker to them. But I want to go through that process with you guys so that you can understand my entrepreneurial journey. I apologize, there's a lot of words on this slide, but that's just for reference. I'll tell you the whole kit and caboodle. So I graduated from Bellarmine University. I had played soccer my entire life. I don't know, well, your daughter knows, when you're a college athlete, there's a likelihood that you're going to get hurt, right? Well, I made it through 4 years of playing college soccer and didn't have one injury. I think I broke a rib, but I wouldn't even consider that a big injury. So I go on and I start playing indoor soccer with the boys after I've graduated. And the second game that I started playing indoor soccer with the boys, I got taken out and one of the keepers tore my ACL, or helped me tear my ACL. So of course, someone that's used to exercising all the time, it made sense when I was sweating when I was younger because I was playing soccer or I was training or I was running. So I didn't think that there was anything abnormal about someone being 24 having night sweats. Well, after I tore my ACL, the night sweats didn't go away. So I wasn't exercising, I was bedridden, I was learning to walk again basically because I decided to do the very extensive surgery where they take your hamstring and repair it and you get a new ACL. So I'm laying in bed, I'm still sweating, I can't figure out what's going on. I'm not exercising anymore, but like most women do, I went to my doctor and I said, yeah, I'm 24, trying to find a husband, I'm sweating at night, and I don't want to bring somebody into my bedroom if I have a wet spot without a partner. Sorry, I told you it was going to be a little apropos this afternoon. So my doctor says, well, let's go through the checklist, right? You're 24, you're not menopausal yet. I'm like, thank God. You don't have diabetes, you don't have cancer. The typical things or reasons why people would sweat are medication or medical conditions. And really, you know, if you're not exercising, I think the only thing left on this list is hyperhidrosis. So I'm thinking, I have never heard of this. What is hyperhidrosis? Great, add it to my sex appeal list. I'm going to now have to tell people I am Alli Truttmann, the girl that sweats at night with hyperhidrosis. So I go and use it as a pickup line at a bar, and it didn't work. So I'm like, we got to figure something out. So what hyperhidrosis is, for those of you like myself who need a layman's definition of that, I have excessive sweating for no medical reason. It makes me the hottest person in the room, quite literally. My hands sweat when I shake hands with people, my armpits sweat when I give presentations, which is why I'm wearing a dark color right now. My shoes are usually full of sweat after I've run or worn high heels, but the worst part of having hyperhidrosis is that my stress level basically tails off at nighttime and I start sweating when I sleep. So show of hands, who wants to get really personal? Does anyone get hot when they sleep or have night sweats when they sleep? Maybe? Okay. So that is actually on par. 3% of the general population suffers from hyperhidrosis. 120 million people in the United States suffer from this. So when I came to this idea of we've got to do something to fix my problem and went to my family function, an Easter brunch in 2008. I'm from St. Louis originally, or the St. Louis area. So I drove home and I was having this conversation with my friends and family, and slowly their hands started popping up and they said, hey, I've got that too. And then my cousin, who was pregnant at the time, said, you know, it just gets worse when you're pregnant because your hormones are going crazy. So she and I are sitting there joking, kind of talking about this family disposition that we have. And at that moment, her husband walks past and he's wearing a Nike Dry Fit golf shirt. And I said jokingly, Jason, you're going to come home one day and we're going to have cut up all your golf shirts and sewn them into bed sheets. And everybody in my family is like, oh, there's Alli coming up with some zany idea again. And my dad just looks at me and he said, it's not a bad idea. So I spent that 4-hour drive down 64, you guys are probably familiar with it, when it's only cornfields, along that road, filling up a notebook in the passenger seat of my car on how I was going to start this company called, at the time it was Dry Fitted Sheets, and I was going to help people like myself who were waking up to wet bed sheets. Well, a couple problems. One, I went to school to be a child psychologist. I took one business class, and I think I got a B- in it. 2, I didn't know how to sew, so that was going to be an issue. And 3, I didn't know how to source fabric. How was I going to be able to actually take golf shirts or yoga pants or whatever and cut them up and make them wide enough to fit a bed? So this is where Louisville gets woven into the story. Louisville has helped me basically for the past 10 years to build the business to where it is right now. I met with a handful of folks that were local business owners, and I said, you know, I've got an idea. I had them sign a mutual non-disclosure agreement. I did Google that, and I found out that that was a smart thing to do. I said, I want to talk to you about it, but I don't know where to start. What's the first thing I need to do? And I remember distinctly sitting at the Heine Brothers in St. Matthews talking to a gentleman, and he said, well, you know, Alli, the best advice I can give you is no advice at all. And I'm like, that's fantastic. This was a very fruitful meeting. You have a great day. But really what he was saying was, you're going to have to figure it out, and you're going to have to fall a whole bunch along the way, because I can't give you the golden ticket. Otherwise, everybody would be doing a business like this. So he did tell me a few things. You know, one, you were blessed with the gift of gab, so pick up the phone, start calling people and figuring out where you're going to source the fabric. Then figure out who's going to sew it for you. Then, you know, you can start looking at other bed sheets and figure out how the bed sheet industry works. But I did a lot of research early on, and I looked and I said, I don't want to just be another bed sheets. I'm going to then just start competing with Martha Stewart. And I can't be Alli Truttmann from Louisville who sweats at night and go into this market of bed sheets, which is $2.6 billion, and make a splash. So what I decided to do was stick to what I know, and that's healthcare. My mom's a nurse. She's a nurse for labor and delivery, so she knows that folks that are having babies, folks that are breastfeeding, those folks that are having hormonal influxes, they're having night sweats. I know myself, someone with hyperhidrosis is also suffering from this, so I started breaking it out into medical conditions, and that's when I really started focusing on the healthcare aspect of the sheets. So folks like myself with night sweats from hyperhidrosis, I know I'm going to somehow appeal to them, but I really needed to get in front of those medical professionals that were dealing with this on a daily basis. So I entered this competition, the Venture Shark competition, and ended up winning $5,000. And the only reason I won, I swear, was because Bob Saunders was one of the judges that day, asked me, well, Alli, if you win, what are you going to do with the money? And I didn't skip a beat. I said, I'm going to go to the menopause convention. And he goes, such a place exists? He thought I was lying. He thought I was just making it up. But there was a menopause convention. There's an annual meeting every year in October where 4,000 physicians from around the world meet and talk about women's health issues. And I said, if we're going to make anything out of this company, we're going to have to get in front of these medical professionals and see if this is a viable product. We walked in. I remember it like it was yesterday. My mom and I went down. We had those black tops on with a little pink logo because we originally were a pink logo. Hi, Lucas. I didn't even see you there. Happy birthday. So I walk into this huge, massive Gaylord Opry Convention Center, and I see Pfizer is one of the participants, and I literally have a blow-up bed in a bag on my shoulder, and I'm like, oh shit, this is not going to be good. I'm like, I just wasted that $5,000. This is bad. This is going to go really, really poorly. I can't compete with the hot, fresh cookies that Pfizer is providing for all the doctors. I can't compete with the samples of sheets that, medical samples that these other physicians were handing out. Sure enough, I put on a smiley face and I said, I'm here to get data to figure out if this is going to go. Let's do it. So I went out, blew up my bed, put on my wicked sheets on my mattress, and I ran out of business cards and brochures within 2 hours of the first day of that convention. People were like, every single one of my patients needs to have this. We are focusing on the medical professional. We're so tired of prescribing another drug for some condition. We need non-pharmacological solutions to night sweats. So we want to help you go with wicked sheets. I'm like, all right, this is great. So I come back to Louisville, and I'm like, okay, I forgot. I don't know how to sew. I don't know anybody that sews. So I'm going to have to figure out how to be a manufacturer now. So I had to basically shift very quickly from child psychologist, someone that wants to talk to physicians a lot, to I have to now figure out how to manufacture this product. So I was very fortunate. I made a couple of phone calls, and I did find a place in Portland, Oregon that was receiving rolls of discontinued Under Armour fabric from Nike, Under Armour, Adidas Climacool, and some other performance fabrics. And I got a hold of a lady that was working in the office, and she's like, so what are you going to do with this stuff? And I said, well, I can't even remember her name, Ann. I'm like, Ann, are you menopausal by any chance? And she's like, I am. I said, would you sleep on a sheet that kept you cool and dry all night long? And she's like, I would. So she became my partner in this, and we started getting rolls of fabric sent to my one-bedroom apartment in St. Matthews. I moved out all the furniture in my apartment, started rolling these rolls of fabric onto the floor. I put on volleyball knee pads and a tool belt with scissors and a tape measure, and I was like, let's cut out some sheets. Let's figure out how to make these sheets work. Then I went on Craigslist and Googled how to find specialty sewers. Now that is something I will never do again, because now Craigslist is a little bit of a scary place, but I got 15 applications, and I decided to go on and start meeting with these women because I really needed someone that was a specialty sewer. My first woman was had heritage Cherokee Indian, and she told me she was sewing positive energy into every sheet set, and that was going to be why my business was going to succeed. I'm like, love it. Okay, let's go with that. The second one was a specialty seamstress, and she was sewing special clothes, all of the stripper outfits for the dancers at the Thoroughbred lounges. And I'm like, okay, but you have a straight seam, we'll take it. And then the third one was stamping leather for one of the local biker groups, but they knew how to work with what we kept calling specialty fabrics. So here's me cutting rolls of fabric on my living room floor in St. Matthews and bringing it to these 3 sewers throughout the city of Louisville. I was working 2 jobs at the time as a therapist and a personal trainer, and my neighbors thought I was crazy. I'm like literally cutting and drinking a glass of white wine. I'm like, I'm just making sheets, this is gonna be great. And then I thought, well, we gotta have a website, so let's figure out how to build a website. So I read a book, and I'm like, I don't know how to code, I don't know how to do any of this stuff. So I found a gentleman at the Louisville Zoo. Where are you at? There you are. At the Louisville Zoo, I don't know if you know this part of the story, who built your website, and he had a wife that was menopausal. So I bartered a set of sheets and $300 and got my first website. It was great. So I'm thinking, okay, we're rolling now. We are selling sheets. It's going to be wonderful. And of course, when you start your first business, your friends and family buy your first product, and they are giving you thumbs up and good feedback. But it really didn't become a real thing for me until we got our first order from someone that we didn't know. They were in Pennsylvania. I had no idea how they found us. I was really good at blogging, and this was 2008, 2009, so I'm sure my organic content on Google was pretty high up because not a lot of people were talking about night sweats or sheet solutions for night sweats. So that's how people started to find us. But as I'm sure you can tell, that's not going to be a way to sell sheets to the entire country, or now we sell them all over the world, but I was going to need some help. So thankfully, Bellarmine has been a very big part of my story. I was attending a Bellarmine University alumni event, and one of the gentlemen I was speaking to, or I'm sorry, one of the women I was speaking to had just undergone a hysterectomy. She had had ovarian cancer, hysterectomy, and it sent her into early menopause. And she and I were having a very sweet conversation. She was crying, I was getting emotional because my family has been laden with cancer, and her husband walks up and he's like, I don't know what you two are talking about, or Allie, what you're selling, but I'm buying. What is Wicked Sheets and how can I get involved? So I was very, very fortunate. This is usually not the common entrepreneur story. I actually secured an investor within a few months. He and I were partnered up, and I had $75,000, and we moved all operations down to North Carolina, and I was out of my 1-bedroom apartment, and people were actually cutting and sewing the stuff for me. So I was very, very fortunate to be in the right place at the right time. And since that day and time, I actually have bought out that investor, freed up some equity, and I'm on my 3rd round of funding, both equity and debt. And most recently, we have moved our cut and sew factory up to Cincinnati because unfortunately the ladies down in North Carolina weren't able to scale. We outgrew them at about a year and a half. And we knew that was going to be an issue because U.S. manufacturing is unfortunately, soft goods U.S. manufacturing is a dying industry. Almost everybody's moving overseas, and I put my flag in the ground early on that I wanted to A, be a healthcare product, and B, be a U.S. manufacturer, and it's been very, very challenging. In fact, we probably didn't grow as fast as we should have because it's taken sometimes 6 and 8 months to secure manufacturers that you feel confident in, that you know are going to have sewers that show up for work, and it's definitely a world I never thought I was going to be in, thinking about child psychology and changing the lives of kids with autism, and now I walk into factories all day long and I talk manufacturing and dimensions and things like that. But it was a necessary step and a really big challenge that we had to get to, because when I launched my Series A round in 2016, I said this is going to be the year. If we don't get national exposure, we can basically consider ourselves a lifestyle business. We were selling in I think we were selling in 10 countries maybe at that point. Sales were growing every year, but I said if this isn't going to go big, we're going to go home. So I had 2 or 3 investments in my Series A. I was one of those people that spend the money as it comes in. I don't wait till it comes in. And I bought a plane ticket to Palo Alto, and I enrolled in a pitch competition with Randy Zuckerberg. Her brother started that little company called Facebook. So I entered this pitch competition, and I said, if I can't sell this product to this audience, Randy Zuckerberg, Home Shopping Network, Menopausal Women. If I can't sell this product to this audience, then I shouldn't be here at all. Well, I went in, I was the last person in my cohort to pitch, TVs everywhere, all these people are highfalutin, they had Christian Louboutin shoes, and I walk in again, I felt like I was back to that original conference, my blow-up bed and my set of sheets, and I'm like, I'm gonna rock this. I am totally going to crush these people. There was someone selling a meal replacement, someone selling a barbecue sauce, someone selling, not that those are not necessary things, commodities in this world, but I knew at that moment that I was going to take it to the next level. So great news, I won the competition. Woo! Bad news. The day I was supposed to air, I built $300,000 worth of inventory for this. The day I was supposed to air, I stopped getting some phone calls from the Home Shopping Network, and they said, we got bad news. And I'm like, uh-oh. I just built $300,000 of inventory in my 2,000 square foot little fulfillment center in Louisville, Kentucky. What's going on? And they said, QVC just announced that they're buying us, and the deal you had with the celebrity Randy Zuckerberg's off the table because you were going to give them too much of the margin. Sorry, best of luck to you. So I basically had to go back to my board and own up some decision making that I had done and said, I built a lot of inventory, now we're going to sit on it. I got to figure out plan B. Well, thankfully, QVC is the one that bought HSN, so I just decided I'll just call QVC. If I have the inventory, I'll just call QVC and figure out how we can make this happen. So I ended up connecting with another woman who had been on from Louisville, Dana with the Purse Keeper. She had been on and she said, you got to go with these ladies, they will help you, they'll tell you right away, they know if you're going to be a success or a failure. So I got on a phone call with them, and 2 days later I was in Philadelphia at the QVC studios pitching my idea to a buyer. We just got a verbal and written PO, which will triple my revenue this year, on Thursday of last week, and I will be on QVC in front of 96 million homes on June 20th. So a few of the things that we had to explain to them, because QVC is a big organization, is how are we going to potentially go on a second time, a third time, and they automatically added another color before I even said yes. They said 3 colors is great, you need to add blue. So we've been scrambling to get that approved, but they want to know what else is in the pipeline. So a few other things that we have done at Wicked Sheets, maybe 2 years ago, we launched Wicked Little Sleepers, which is for sweaty moms and little babies. So we have crib sheets now and pregnancy pillowcases for those that are truly just going through that early stage of hormonal influx, and the babies that are dribbling, drooling, and being potty trained, we can wick away that moisture just like we could for someone suffering from night sweats. So we launched the Little Sleepers line, and then I'm very proud of this partnership with a little mattress company in southern Indiana that is helping us, and we now make a Wicked Cool mattress. So our cooling technology is on the top of the mattress, and then I designed some inner layers. It's a gel memory foam, and it's truly cool to the touch all night long, and it breathes. Every time you roll over, the hot air goes out and the cool air comes in. And then something we've always been working on, and which is another reason why manufacturing in the United States is huge for us, is that we know that a lot of our military are coming out and 85% of them are suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, and as a result they will have night sweats. So I want to be on the beds of those transitional care units when our military are coming back experiencing night terrors and night sweats as a result. So we want to work on the Wicked Sheets tactical line, but that's in the pipeline. We'll figure out what to do there. And then lastly, something I want to point out, this year we're actually awarded the world's first performance knit that is certified asthma allergy friendly. So staying in that healthcare niche was really important to us, but we didn't ever have the seal of approval that I think we needed. A lot of new moms, especially in that Wicked Little Sleepers line, they want to see some seal of approval or some stamp, like the Good Housekeeping stamp. So we did a lot of research, and we found that folks like Dyson, P&G, 3M, and Mercedes-Benz were getting this asthma allergy certification. So we spent a lot of time. It was probably 8 months of testing over in Ireland, not me personally, just the product. And we were this year awarded the world's first asthma and allergy performance knit bedding company. So that is one thing that QVC wants us to tell our story about. I am not supposed to solicit you guys, so I'm going to take that slide down. WickedSheets.com is my website. This thing, I don't know what, somebody clicked that for me, I don't know what happened. So we sell everything online. We're wickedsheets.com. We have partnerships with Amazon, Brookstone, House, and Slumbersome, but we've been very strategic not to go into their big box retailers because I learned a lot reading that Small Business for Dummies book when I first started, and I swear, I read a Small Business for Dummies and a Small Business Accounting for Dummies book when I started to try and figure out what a P&L statement was. Ray now has to help me with all of that. We really didn't want our margin or our brand to be tarnished by some of the ways that those big box retailers are doing that to brands right now. So we've strategically tried to stay an online company. This year we'll be giving QVC our first wholesale try to figure out if the pricing really works, if shipping to one fulfillment center really works. Right now we're fulfilling all of our orders out of a 4,000 square foot little place off of Newburgh Road. So everything gets a handwritten note from me or our staff, and we're really proud of what we've built. But I wouldn't be able to do it if I didn't have Louisville and the service providers in Louisville and the mentors I've gotten and the support I've gotten, because I had no idea what building a business was like until I got myself into building a business, and I failed a whole bunch along the way. But there was always somebody around me in the community that would pick me up and say, here's how you need to get back on track. So I've been very fortunate with that. I am happy to answer any questions. Tony, do you want to?
So what don't we know, and what have you learned about the sheet industry or about competition in such a, what seems to be a rather niche product?
Yeah, absolutely. So competition, when we started, there was only one other company that was interested in doing what we were doing, and that to me served as market validation. Now we have about 5 or 6 true competitors in the space, but what we have to keep doing is differentiating ourselves, and with that asthma allergy certification, that's a really important thing for us. And we've also positioned our price point. Our fabric commands luxury pricing, and so I think a lot of times people get scared off by that, but we're still $20 to $30 lower than our leading competitor. So the industry itself is a $2.6 billion bed sheets and pillowcases industry, and really in an e-commerce world that's changing all the time, we have to be putting out the best quality photos, the best quality reviews. Getting reviews is so important on your site, and being Amazon Prime, because the #1 filter button is Amazon Prime. So just knowing that stuff in this ever-changing evolution of e-commerce has been very hard, but fruitful if you navigate it well.
Larry?
Great story, and thanks for coming. I love your enthusiasm. I was going to ask a question that you almost have just answered, which is, how are you protecting yourself against copiers? Under Armour is a good example of somebody that's kind of having problems now because of the competition. But maybe you could also give us an anecdote, since you already kind of answered that, with what was the worst mistake you made along the way?
Absolutely. Well, the protection piece, I'll touch on that. So just like Under Armour, Kevin Plank is trying to put out the best moisture wicking t-shirt possible. So a note I took from his book is there are fabrics changing every single day. So if he took the time to patent every single shirt that he made and then a new fabric came out, he would spend all of his time in litigation and not any time actually doing product development. So what we've been doing is we actually started with an original moisture wicking fabric, and because we applied for an early patent, but I pulled it because there was some other great fabric that was getting ready to come out, and that's now our moisture wicking plus cooling. And our engineers are always trying to make it better. So we added copper and antimony to this one to neutralize the pH. And so if I come out with another new fabric, I would spend more time in litigation and more money patenting that. So what we're doing is a brand play, just like Under Armour would. So that's the protection piece.
Well, maybe I could ask a second question, since nobody's in line. I wonder what kind of natural fabrics have you tried, like bamboo or other types of fabric like that that are naturally cooling?
So there are a lot right now that are on the market. the research I did early on and why we decided to produce our own was because almost 3 times the energy that it takes to actually strip bamboos to make it that soft, silky feel, you're actually using more energy and hurting the environment worse in producing the bamboo than we are when we're manufacturing our own. So I've read article upon article about the cotton and bamboo versus polys, nylons, rayons, all of that stuff. And staying in that healthcare niche, we wanted to make sure eventually if we could go and have some silver or something else that could be a MRSA protector or a barrier against microbes and allergens in the bed, we knew we weren't going to be able to do that with a natural fiber.
Okay, thank you.
Alli, who came up with the name? The name is brilliant.
Well, thank you. That was me and my dad, actually. So it was originally sleepwicked.com. Well, it was dryfittedsheets.com, and then my patent attorney was like, dry fit is one of those words you definitely want to stay away from. And then we were like talking about, doing the brainstorming session where it's wicking, it's cool, it's wicked sheets. So we just kind of got to that moment where we were like, that's the one.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Yes, Ken.
Alli, talk a little bit about the QVC experience. What is it like to pitch for them? What do they ask of you, and are you prepared for the kind of demand you hope for? And how do you prepare?
So this has been the most chaotic part of my life right now. QVC, the beast that everyone wants to tackle, right? They are very demanding. So we got the written PO on a Thursday, last Thursday, and by Friday I was already getting called from the host trainer saying you need to be down here doing dress rehearsals on March 8th. We got our quality assurance testing. We've had to change our packaging, our labels, our ribbon, everything to meet those demands, because everything right now, even though we meet all the demands of like flammability and PIVA and Prop 65, they have to be within the QVC guidelines. So we planned to get here, so we had already done some initial work on developing the packaging and making sure the language was correct. But even as something as we right now have French, we have English, French, and Chinese on our labels. Well, we need Spanish on the labels that we're giving to QVC. So now we have to reprint them all so that they are in Spanish. So, just the guidelines that they are setting for us, it's great because you have parameters and you're not going all over the place, but it is extraordinarily difficult when you've been doing it one way for almost 10 years. It'll be our 10-year anniversary in April, and now I'm having to change my sizing, add a color. They did not want us to manufacture in the United States. In fact, they said, you will not be able to meet the demand for this order, so you must manufacture this in China. So we are actually manufacturing this run for wholesale in China. So now I'm working with the Chinese who are on Chinese New Year holiday, and that's really exciting because I'm emailing and I hear nothing, or I get a response that says, we're out of office until March 3rd, good luck. So we have truly done everything, but we feel like this is the opportunity to get on to get the national PR. You got to do it. And if I fail, I will fail so fast and burn, and like ashes will be everywhere. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Thank you, Alli. Alli Truttmann. What do you need?
A little party trick for you. Alyssa said, I want to ask how you fold a fitted sheet. So I brought a fitted sheet. All right, I need like some like music or whatever.
Charlie.
Oh yeah. Yeah, let's do that. God, you're so good.
Wicked Charlie Kastner.
Woo! Oh,
Hotel industry?
hotels. We've thought about it. I see it as like the smoker, non-smoker option, right? You check into your hotel and you're like, are you a smoker or non-smoker? Do you have night sweats or do you not have night sweats? I think it could go over well in the hotel industry. But I think in terms of us making a splash there, it's going to take some time. Yeah. Okay. All right, so you want to start with the corners of your fitted sheet, and it's inside out. So you're basically going to marry these two sides together. Then you grab the other corner, put it on top, the other corner, put it on top, and it'll come to this beautiful, like, mound of sheets right here. Then you lay it on your bed. Sorry, you guys won't be able to see me. Fold in, over and over. And you got a fitted sheet. Like that?
And the music was perfectly suited for that.
Perfect. That'll be a first in my speaking engagements. I like that.
Alli, thanks for being with us. Wonderful presentation. Excellent job. All right. That's a one-of-a-kind presentation. Wasn't it fantastic? With that, guests, we remind you, visit the What is Rotary table. Sydney would love to meet you there. Our meeting is adjourned.